Welcome back to the next episode of Security IQ, everyone. Elisa Mula here and Min
Min Kyriannis, everybody. How are you doing? And
Jasmine.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
Yes, you should. Don't worry, she's gonna say it right.
Already.
Jasmine Morales, correct?
Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Perfect.
So Jasmine is joining us today to talk a little bit about human trafficking and her expertise. In case you haven't already noticed, we have a couple of topics that Min and I continuously research, engage with, and try to build awareness around. And human trafficking is, of course, one of them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Jasmine, tell us a little bit about your background, what you do, what your specialty is.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure being here with you all today. My name is Jasmine Morales, as mentioned, and I am the Outreach and Prevention Education Specialist at Fair Girls, which is an anti-trafficking organization based in DC. And we serve women, female identifying folks in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, primarily, but are definitely open to serving individuals nationwide. In addition to that role, I am also a street outreach advocate for her resiliency. This is a DC and Baltimore based organization that helps women that are in their ages of 18 to 25 with various types of challenges they may be facing. So it does intersect with the work I do at Fair Girls, because sometimes these individuals will be facing some human trafficking related issues as well. They may be survivors, or they may know of someone that may need help. They may also be at risk.
Yeah.
So those are my two main professional roles. And I have a background in working with youth, doing some advocacy for the immigrant community, specifically with Latinx civil rights organizations, but with the immigrant community as a whole. And I've conducted research on the sexual assault of Latina women on college campuses.
Wow.
And have been an advocate for survivors of sexual assault for, all throughout college before graduating, becoming a young professional. So that's just a little bit of background about me. I guess if you were wondering where I'm from San Jose, California, born and raised.
Wow.
My parents are Mexican American, and I also did live in Mexico for a while. So I, have that very traditional Mexican background as well.
Where in Mexico are you from?
Michoacan.
Okay. We have some friends in Mexico as well. We have a colleague that's in Mexico City, and he's doing phenomenal things in the security world. So
definitely.
Yeah.
So I do have one question though. Is Mexican moms really as mean as they say they are with the slippers? I'm sorry, that's just something I always hear from my
Italian moms might actually be worse. I'm just gonna say it.
And then Chinese moms don't use slippers; they use the bamboo sticks. So I was just curiosity question. Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying.
My friend and I, she's Vietnamese. We used to joke around the chancla, and then I don't know if it's also the stick, but yeah, we joke around about.
Okay, so it's true.
So I can't remember who the comedian was, but part of his shtick was that his mother used to use it as a boomerang, and it would whip around the house, hit everybody in the head, and then come back and she'd put it right back on.
I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I have no idea what his nationality was, but it was awesome.
Sorry, I had to ask that question. Anyway, digressing from the more serious topic.
Yeah, so the more serious topic at hand, we want to hear a little bit from your expertise, your background, your knowledge in working with these communities, whether it's victims, current victims, or survivors. Talk to us a little bit about culture and sex labor. And there's obviously different stigmas, from culture to culture. And, in some areas of the world, it's almost like an accepted thing, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let me see, where should I begin? I will start by saying that sex trafficking does not look the way that most people imagine it looks. Mm-hmm. When we go out and ask the community, and this is something that we found through my work with her resiliency. My supervisor was talking to me about, going out and talking to the community, asking them, what do you think human trafficking looks like? Mm-hmm. And most of what they said reflected what the movie Taken reflects. It happens abroad, it's the kidnapping. Through my work at Fairgirls, I've encountered similar situations, both with community members and other professionals, in, them believing that it happens in this very violent way, and that it is an issue that happens elsewhere, not us, but there and them. Right. So I guess I just want to start by dismantling some of the misconceptions. While it is something that may happen violently and through kidnapping, that is not often the case. From what we see, most of the individuals we work with have been trafficked through a romantic partner or a family member, through, coercion mostly, because with family and romantic partners, there is that emotional component, and that leaves room for a lot of emotional manipulation and coercion. So I just want to start with that, mentioning that while there are instances of these very violent gang trafficking, kidnapping, it happens to our neighbors in a way that we wouldn't usually imagine.
I want to ask a quick question on that. So I've been through a number of training programs, one of which talks about identifying at-risk youth and how to prevent it. One of the main topics was exactly what you just mentioned, the whole Romeo effect, right? There are groomers that are often groomed themselves, but they are sent out to find some of the more vulnerable adolescents, kids who don't have a lot of friends, or, whatever, or don't have like a good home life, whatever the situation is, but they will find these individuals and pretend to like them, want to date them, or befriend them. And then little by little, they ask for some pictures, or they ask them to take pictures of their younger siblings. And it's one of those, if you really love me, you would do this, or whatever. And I really couldn't wrap my head around it at first, because I just, that someone could be really manipulated so badly into, criminal activity, that sliding scale. Like, how does it get to that point? How often would you say that happens, and that the end result, the final end result, is really more of the criminal behavior?
So, sorry, just want to make sure I understand the question. Are you asking how common it is that these?
I guess I'm asking, so you have like a groomer, we'll just call them a groomer, that seeks out an individual and says, well, I just want a couple of pictures, where that's like borderline criminal, right? Because you're talking about youth, but all the way to the point where you're really, the very end of the spectrum, where the kids do become abducted or assaulted or
forced
or
to
whatever,
participate.
or even sold and then murdered. There's so many, there's a wide spectrum there, right? So you're going from taking a couple of pictures, which maybe the person or the youth that is at risk might say, all right, that's not really that big of a deal, all the way to the other end, where possibly they end up dead, God forbid. So how often would you say that leads down that sort of downward spiral?
Yeah, I think it is very common for it to lead to more. It may stop at the picture, but then the picture might be shared. It may end up on Pornhub. It may end up on who knows whose hands. So even if beyond the picture they do not meet and they aren't sold into sex trafficking, I feel like any time that we've heard of these grooming situations where there is that instance of, okay, well, send me a picture, send me a video, let's do this, it leads to some sort of harm, whether it is, like I said, them appearing on pornography kind of website or them being sold. I couldn't give you like an exact number on, how often one happens more than the other, but overall, that grooming always results in some sort of harm.
Yeah. So then, just for curiosity then, for you, because you talk to these young ladies who you're outreaching with and you're talking to them, how do you tell them or how do you teach them what to watch out for, especially since they're young, they're vulnerable? And, I'm sure at that age you're looking for love, because it's, Romeo syndrome. I'm really looking for my, whatever you want, soulmate, my forever love. What do you want to call those things? I'm sorry, I'm not a romantic. I apologize.
No worries.
I am not a romantic.
I am not either. I was trying to help you, but I was like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I know, but just thinking about it, like, kids and the teens, you're reading these romance novels, you're, reading fairy tales, happily ever after, looking for and this is I think the challenge is, like, even I have kids, they're reading these fairy tales, you want to find Prince Charming, and this is what happens. So now you're left in a vulnerable position that Elisa's talking about. How do you teach ladies to discern information from guys saying, oh, I love you, you're the only one for me? How do you do that, when you're talking to these young ladies?
Yeah. So I'll talk about it for both youth and adults, because it's actually something that we work on with adults as well. I know sometimes we think like, it's mostly the youth, but unfortunately, a lot of us adults are sometimes, at
we get a lot of spam on LinkedIn. Let's just put it that way in Facebook.
Yeah. So as it pertains to youth, with Fair Girls, we have a Tell Your Friends curriculum. This is a 4-module curriculum that we are implementing in the DC public school system. This curriculum goes over boundaries, healthy relationships. It analyzes misogyny in the media and different types of discrimination. And it is presented in a way that both allows youth to reflect on these various issues. Okay, like, what is a healthy relationship? How do I set boundaries with my friend? If this person is always wanting to hang out with me and wanting to know where I'm at, is it because they love me or is it because they want to control me? So it poses these kind of questions. Yeah. And at the same time, encourages empowerment in reminding them of you are worthy of love, and these are your strengths. So we encourage them to think about their strengths and basically work on self-love, because I think we can all agree on the fact that people, whether it is traffickers or, someone in a toxic relationship, the toxic person, they prey on this lack of self-love. So that's the way that we, our curriculum is set. In addition to that, we also offer workshops, a lot of them centered around, again, the same concepts of self-love. And we do this in very creative ways. Like, I know this was pre-COVID, we're working on getting these in person again. We're doing some hairstyling and then talking about these topics of self-love. Or there was even like a fashion show kind of event that happened where this woman that was a survivor came in and just glammed them up,
That's awesome.
So things like that is what we work on with youth, just these workshops and reminding them that there's resources. I think at the end of the day, that there's ways that they can have their basic needs met, because these traffickers, perpetrators of all kinds are going to prey on unmet needs.
That's a really good point to end the session with. It's one thing when somebody, films you or takes a picture of you without you knowing, which is probably, in my opinion, one of the worst things.
That's still illegal, by the way.
It's 100% illegal. So anyone out there watching, just know it's illegal. Don't do it.
And we'll track you down. But anyway.
And you see things on the news all the time, or a lot of celebrities that have these videos made of them that maybe they didn't know about, they didn't realize they were being filmed, which again is probably one of the most disgusting things you could do if you're intimate with somebody else. But to your point, Yasmin, you know, giving someone the tools and the reinforcements they need to have and develop that self-respect, to set those boundaries, to, you know, not feel manipulated into willingly handing over images of themselves. You know, I feel like that's, from an empowerment perspective, you can't possibly empower an individual in a better way than that. So well done. Really impressive, really good work. And we're happy you're on to talk about it. And anyone who's interested in connecting with Yasmin or Fair Girls, or just wants more information, if you need help, if you feel like you've been manipulated or filmed, or you're being asked for any of this content, you know, reach out to us. We don't charge for any of this free information, and we just want to help and get the word out. And yeah, just reach out to us. And that will do it for this segment, but we are going to have Yasmin on again for the next topic, so stay tuned.